Game time!
Warning. Contains adult content including harsh language, violence, and sexual themes, and may not be suitable for people under age 17.
Keen Jisatsu cursed, sitting up and glaring at the door in annoyance, jet black hair extremely messy from being under the blanket. His twin brother, Gin, was lying beneath him, looking equally irritated.
This had better be important.
Gin hissed.
What?
Keen shouted at the door.
Sirs?
Said a timid voice from outside the door.
The new recruits are here.
Fuck, I forgot it was the first.
Keen muttered, and he bit his lip.
They're actually here?
Yes, sir,
replied the voice. Keen scrunched his nose, giving a tiny growl. Keen met his eyes and wordlessly said, "Chill."
Alright, give us 5 minutes.
He called.
Yes, sir,
the voice repeated, and there was the sound of fading footsteps.
5?
Scoffed Gin angrily.
5? You couldn't have said 10? You and I both know that the first of each month is a very important day.
Keen reminded him.
Well, yes, but if those maggots are serious about joining the society, they wouldn't mind waiting a little longer. Just get dressed,
Keen demanded, backing off of Gin and smoothing his hair.
The sooner we get this done, the sooner we can continue.
Just then, there was a metallic sound as Gin gripped his brother's neck and held a small but sharp blade to his face. It was a knife that was hidden in a cuff on his wrist that could be ejected smoothly and efficiently. The idea for the design came from the video game Assassin's Creed. Keen held still, watching the blade with narrowed eyes, but didn't show any sign of fear. Gin was looking murderous, holding the knife in attack position. The corners of Keen's mouth curled into a smirk, and he chuckled.
You want to play like that?
He growled lowly, and with another produced his own blade. Now both twins were glaring, mirroring each other perfectly, ready to strike.
Stalemate,
Gin muttered softly.
What's it going to be, dear brother?
Keen hissed.
You gonna cooperate and get to work, or are you gonna resist?
In an instant, Gin slashed his brother across the cheek, sending quite a large amount of blood in different directions. Keen hadn't even flinched, but simply continued to stare down his twin. But suddenly, Gin leaned forward and licked the blood from his wound. Keen closed his eyes calmly, keeping still as a statue. As Gin continued to sensually lick his brother's blood, Keen found Gin's right hand and grabbed it with his own. The blade was still exposed, and he gently forced Gin to press it against his hip. Getting the hint, he applied pressure and slowly broke the skin. With a sharp intake of breath, Keen smirked, holding his own blade to Gin's neck.
We don't have time for this,
Keen breathed, touching the point against his brother's skin.
Well, you should have given us more time now, shouldn't you?
Gin snapped, but gasped as the skin on his neck was broken, feeling a warm drop of blood sliding from the new cut.
Don't patronize me,
Keen hissed, but before he could say anything else, their lips were locked together, engaging in a passionate kiss. While they fought with each other's tongues, both of their blades were slicing their skin, blood staining the bed. It was quite an alarming act of lust. The violence was about to lead into a session of intimacy, but once again, they were interrupted. A speaker on the wall buzzed on, and a voice said,
Sirs, we need to begin the ceremony.
A heavy sigh left Keen, and he gave Gin a look that said, See?
Okay, I'm getting up,
he said.
You're gonna stain your pretty white clothes,
Keen said with a laugh.
We should clean ourselves up. This one stings,
said Gin, pointing to a large cut on his thigh, which was bleeding very profusely.
I would say I'm sorry, but that would be a lie.
The twins snickered together, quickly getting ready for the induction ceremony. The Jisatsu brothers were sitting in the single throne at the front of the Suicide Society chapel, Keen sitting boredly with his elbow on the armrest, head resting on his hand, and Gin sitting right across his lap. Both of them looked extremely miffed about their treats being interrupted. The chapel was huge, the size of a cathedral, but it was not beautiful as a church would be. The floor and stage, as well as the carved stairs leading to the stage, were made of cold concrete. The pillars were also cement, resembling bridge piles, and the ceiling fixtures were made of industrial steel. Stretching toward the back of the room were steel versions of church pews, which looked just as depressing as the rest of the room. There were enough pews to seat hundreds of people, maybe even thousands. At the moment, the people sitting down were chatting to each other, waiting for the ceremony to start. Every member wore dull gray clothes, but the brothers allowed them to choose their own style. They weren't completely heartless. Along with the clothing, there were bands over their right forearm, each person having one of 5 colors: white, yellow, red, blue, and black. There seemed to be a greater number of people wearing white bands than the others, and only a few wore black. On the wall behind the brothers' throne, there was an enormous television screen where a church's stained glass window would usually be. At the moment, the screen was black, with the Suicide Society's insignia displayed in white. It was a circle bordered with simple, precisely placed lines, and in the middle was the infinity symbol, rotated 90 degrees to resemble an S. A number of doors stood on the side walls of the room, each leading to a different room or hall, and the large door behind the pews led to the facility's entrance hall. There wasn't much in this room, which was solid concrete. The only things decorating the room was the insignia carved into the door to the chapel, as well as what looked like a metal laundry chute. Geen yawned widely, then groaned in boredom, resting his head on the armrest that Keen wasn't using. His brother set his hand on the inside of his thigh reassuringly, though he too looked extremely bored. Finally, the door opened, and the chapel fell silent, watching as 2 men with black armbands led a line of people toward the stage. Both men had pistols strapped to their belt.
How many?
Keen barked, his sharp voice echoing eerily through the hall.
10, sir,
said the man on the left, bowing his head very slightly.
Nice.
Geen laughed.
Much more than last month.
The line of newcomers looked slightly nervous, but some had expressions of excitement. Keen gently pushed his twin off his lap and onto the cushion of the throne, standing and walking to the front of the stage, looking down at the recruits.
You are here because your applications were accepted.
Keen spoke in a cold, professional tone, holding his hands behind his back.
Make no mistake, by applying for the Suicide Society, you have dedicated your life to the organization 100%. As far as you know, you have no life.
A cruel smile stretched across his face.
If any of you are having second thoughts, speak now, and you will be escorted out of the building.
A teenage girl with brown hair raised her hand shakily.
Yes?
I'm having second thoughts,
she squeaked.
I want to go home.
Keen nodded gently.
That's fine, love.
He cooed kindly, which made the girl smile.
Jonas, please lead little miss to the exit.
The man on the right nodded, and he left with the girl. The entire chapel was dead silent as the two walked up the aisle and to the entrance hall. A second later, there was a blood-curdling scream and a gunshot. The other 9 recruits flinched, eyes wide. After a minute or so, Jonas returned to the still silent room, and he made his way back to his place next to his partner. He gave Keen a small nod, and the brother grinned, looking to the others.
Anyone else having second thoughts?
He hissed. There was no answer.
Good.
Keen got up and stood next to him, hands also behind his back.
As Keen mentioned before,
he said firmly, and he began to pace, not tearing his eyes away from the group of 9.
Your life belongs to the society. You will do everything you're told without hesitation or question. You are not here to kill other people. You are here to die. Some of you may stay for some time before you're given your last assignment. Some of you could go within the next week. It all depends on what needs to be done,
continued Keen, and he too started pacing, but in the opposite direction of his twin.
Frankly, you should be proud when you receive your last assignment. We also like to see volunteers for certain events. It's very refreshing to see such dedication. If any one of you refuses an assignment without an extremely good reason, you will land yourself on the list of expendables,
said Geen.
Granted, all of you are expendable, but the list is comprised of utterly useless members. If you're put on that list, consider yourself already dead. Expendables could be sent on useless missions, unpleasant missions, or
Keen chuckled.
used for our entertainment.
Geen mimicked his laugh perfectly.
Otherwise, you'll be treated as any other member of your level. There are 5 levels,
explained Geen.
Level 1 is the lowest level, the starting level. You wear a white armband. Second level is yellow, third is red, fourth is blue, and fifth, the highest rank, is black. Each level of personnel have their own duties, some more important than others. Promotion is determined by different things that we do not share with you. So don't be a suck-up,
added Keen nastily.
It will get you nowhere. If you have any questions or concerns, address the level 5 personnel. If you come directly to us for any reason that is not 100% urgent, you will be punished. Treat the level 5s as if they are your leaders. And if you're not sure if the matter is important enough to come directly to us, bring it to the attention of the 5s, and they'll decide its importance.
The twins exchanged looks, and then ceased their pacing.
The number one thing you need to remember is,
they said in unison.
Don't talk,
Keen concluded.
Do not speak about the goings-on in the society to non-members.
Geen demanded in a raised tone.
Do not speak about the goings-on outside of the facility. Do not tell non-members about your own membership. Do not speak to other members about the society outside of the facility. Do not try and convince others to apply for membership. Outside this facility, the society does not exist,
said Keen just as loudly.
People know that we do exist, but that's all they need to know. Do not answer questions. Do not give hints of any kind. Don't reveal the location of the facility. And if someone brings it up, change the subject. Do not speak of the society at any time, anywhere outside of the facility. Not even if you take a trip outside in Cephalon,
Geen added.
Those who reveal our secrets are called mice,
Keen went on.
We do not like mice, for there is no room for a mouse in a colony of rats. If anyone suspects that there is a mouse among us, alert a level 5 personnel immediately,
said Geen.
The only reason you should come directly to us about a mouse is if you are a level 5 with confirmed mouse. The penalty for being a mouse,
they said together,
is death.
More silence followed this, and the twins savored it, soaking in the fear of their pawns.
We have not had a mouse in over a year,
said Keen.
Let's keep it that way. Are there any questions?
Asked Geen, and a 10-year-old girl with a red bob raised her tiny hand.
Yes.
How will we know our schedule and when we're supposed to come to the facility?
She said in a cute but confident voice.
Oh yeah, duh,
said Geen, smacking his palm to his forehead.
Alright, so in the first room to the left of the entrance hall door, who's back there? Ulrich? Ulrich, please stand next to the door.
An elderly other stood and gestured to said door.
Perfect. In that room is a bunch of LCD monitors that show you things like schedules, events, assignments, etc. It looks kinda like Wall Street on Earth, actually,
said Keen with a light laugh.
Just less yelling,
added Geen.
I have another question,
the child chirped, and the twins smiled at each other.
What is your name, hon?
They both asked her.
Kimmy,
she replied.
Alright, go ahead.
I see everyone is wearing the same color, but some people are wearing, like, skirts or vests. What is the dress code?
You can wear anything as long as it's the same shade of gray,
said Geen.
If you don't have anything, there's a clothing shop on the floor right below us.
Neat,
said Kimmy.
Any more questions?
Asked both twins. A schizophrenic other in his 20s raised his hand.
It's not a question,
he said with a small tremble.
I just wanted to say that I've waited for this day all my life. I've sent in many applications, and it finally got accepted. I've looked up to you both, and I'm just so happy to be here and look forward to serve the society.
The brothers were quiet for a moment.
What's your name?
They said.
Eaton,
he replied.
Eaton,
said Keen with a smile.
Congratulations. You're going to be a level 2.
Eaton was shocked, and then looked like he was going to explode.
I thought you said no sucking up,
exclaimed another man.
That was not sucking up,
said Geen.
That was dedication. All right,
exclaimed Keen happily, clapping his hands together.
Jonas, Vince, go ahead and take these 9 wonderful new members to be scarred.
The level 5s that had led the group in nodded, and then beckoned them to a door to the left of the stage.
Recess,
said the brothers to the rest of the room, and everyone stood up, some conversing, others going through different doors. The twins sat on the throne, Geen facing Keen and straddling him.
This is taking forever,
Geen complained in a whisper, bringing his face so close to Keen's that their lips barely brushed each other's.
I know,
Keen breathed, and he gently unzipped his twins' pants.
We're almost done.
As Keen slid his hand down Geen's front, the two of them began kissing passionately. A group of 4 girls sat in one of the front pews and watched them dreamily. This wasn't unusual. Geen gave a light pant as he was touched, and his mind got away from him. He was ready to rip off his brother's pants, but Keen, who was still fully aware of his surroundings, had to stop him. Geen growled, and Keen smirked, biting his tongue at him.
Come on, who really cares?
Geen hissed.
It's not a PDA issue, dear brother,
Keen replied.
It's that their eyes aren't worthy of seeing such a show.
He jerked his head at their small audience, and Geen looked at them. The girl squeaked and sat up straight, blushing furiously. Geen gave a small chuckle, and he returned his attention to his twin.
I hate it when you're right.
Around 15 minutes later, a button was pressed by a level 5, and a soft chime sounded. As every member re-entered the room, Jonas and Vince returned with the group of new recruits. All 9 of them were shirtless, the girls holding black towels to their chest. Each of them were bleeding heavily from the left shoulder blade, the Suicide Society insignia having been carved deep into the flesh. Kimmy was crying, but only from pain, for she was also smiling proudly.
Sirs,
said Vince, and Keen stood up once more, leaving Geen on the throne, who didn't bother to zip his pants back up as he watched apathetically.
they have all been scarred successfully.
No struggle?
Asked Keen.
Nope.
Vince replied. A boy that looked just a little younger than Eaton, and appeared to be half cat, shifted nervously and raised his hand.
Yes?
Keen asked impatiently. The cat boy said, looking around at all the people watching him.
Can I go home and change my pants?
Why?
Both brothers drawled.
I'm a masochist.
Let me guess,
said Geen with a smirk.
You got off, didn't you?
The boy blushed and nodded.
You have no idea how many times that happens,
laughed Keen, and he turned to the rest of the room.
How many of you got off when you were scarred?
Quite a few people raised their hands, including girls.
See, no need to be embarrassed. It's a good thing.
The cat boy looked very relieved.
However,
Geen said suddenly, and he stood next to his brother, finally zipping up his pants.
We've got one more thing to do. Bring us the book.
Another level 5 approached the stage, offering a large box to Keen, who opened it and pulled out a black-covered tome. It looked ancient.
This,
said Keen,
is the Suicide Manual. It has everything you need to know and more. This is the original copy. You will receive smaller versions of it. The original holds secrets that are not for any eyes but our own. It's a sacred relic that has been in our family for generations. Today is the only time you will ever touch this book,
continued Geen, and he and Keen descended the steps leading down from the stage. They addressed the group with a nod.
Put the index finger of your dominant hand on the cover,
they ordered simultaneously. The 9 of them obeyed, but flinched when they felt a small shock travel through their body and found they could not remove their fingers.
Repeat after us. I have turned my life over to the Society.
I have turned my life over to the Society.
And have also turned over my death.
And have also turned over my death.
For as long as I exist.
For as long as I exist.
I will embrace my non-existence.
I will embrace my non-existence.
I vow to keep my silence.
I vow to keep my silence.
I vow to follow my leaders.
I vow to follow my leaders.
I vow to welcome death as a friend.
I vow to welcome death as a friend.
For the sake of the Society.
For the sake of the Society.
Set us free.
Set us free.
On the word free, the book released its hold on the group, and they withdrew their fingers.
Congratulations,
said Keen.
You are now members of the Suicide Society. Please receive your copies of the Suicide Manual from any level 5 personnel, and then look over the schedules in the monitor room. After you've done that, you are free to leave the facility. On your way out, you will see a map of Wayward City on the wall. It will tell you how to find your way to and from the site. Enjoy the rest of your day,
said Geen happily.
The rest of you are dismissed.
As all of the members wandered to their intended destinations, and the new recruits obtained their manuals, the twins took an elevator down a few floors to get back to their room. Once inside, Geen stretched.
My God! That took longer than expected.
Keen sighed, carelessly removing his shirt and sitting on the bed, massaging his temples.
I got a good feeling about that Kimmy girl,
said Geen, also discarding his shirt, then flopping on his back on the mattress.
She's young, too, so she's going to get a lot of experience. If she's lucky, she'll climb ranks pretty quickly. Eaton is cool, too. I wonder where his host is. Hard to keep secrets between hosts and others.
Geen wrapped his arms around Keen's waist tightly, nuzzling his lower back lovingly. Keen smiled and stroked his hair, watching him with an affectionate look in his eyes.
Hey, when do you think we'll leave?
Geen asked softly, and his twin lay on top of him.
We'll know when it's time,
he replied, kissing the tip of his nose.
And we'll be ready.
After that, instead of engaging in an act of lust, they simply snuggled each other happily, quietly imagining the day of their own death.